Hey everybody, this is Casey Hart. You're looking at Final Cut X training videos, and I'm going to show you how to work between programs. Now in some of the other videos, we may be working with Photoshop, we may be working with Illustrator, maybe even GarageBand. Today I'm actually going to show you how to work between old Office favorites, Excel, and PowerPoint. Now, a couple of things before we get started on this. A lot of my students in single camera reporting, they ask, how can I incorporate interesting graphs and charts? How can I incorporate things like bar graphs to illustrate data, line graphs, even pie graphs and charts into my videos without necessarily having to be very proficient at programs like Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, and some of the more advanced graphic handling programs. And that is what I want to handle today. Now, if you've gone back and watched some of our older videos, you'll know that one of the things that I've talked about is doing your QuickTime screen capture. So, that is how I'm capturing the screen here. That's one of the things that you're going to need to know for this video. It's very easy to do, by the way. All you really have to do is have QuickTime Player, open it up, go to File, and then do a new movie or a new screen recording. I can't really show you since I'm in the middle of one, but it's very easy to look up, and you can do it on your very own. Now, once you've done this, or once you figure this out, the rest of this video will be pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to show you how to do is basically create a graph very similar like this, build it, animate it, and bring it into Final Cut. Now, there's several things that you have to look at, and we'll go over each and every one of them. Ultimately, it'll look something like this. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do two very common techniques here. And again, what we want to do is make sure that whatever we do when, or whatever we finish with are within our action safe and our title safe. So let's go ahead and begin. One of the more difficult things in any type of research project, and in field reporting, that is what we're doing. We are working on research projects, is data visualization. How do we take complex data and illustrate it so that our readers can understand it in a very comprehensive sort of way? For example, if I were going to show my audience that tuition and financial aid costs were incongruent, for example, they both increased for a while and then one went down and one went up, then perhaps I could show it that way and be very dramatic. If I wanted to show that perhaps some of my students were doing well in the first couple, excuse me, first couple of classes and then dropped off, I reported a change in my teaching technique and they maybe did well. I don't know. Anyway, I may want to show this graph. But data visualization, showing data in a way that is comprehensive, or that is compelling rather, is very important in a lot of reports and a lot of videos. So let's go ahead and jump into this and see what we can do. The first thing that I want to bring up here is actually Excel. Now, I've included a lot of data here. I've gone ahead and typed it up. I've got financial aid, I've got tuition. Perhaps I found these off of a study that I'm already looking at. I'm going to go ahead and delete this chart for now because we're about to create it again. Maybe I found, here are the financial aid numbers, here's the tuition numbers that I found, and here are the years that I'm looking at. I type this into Excel, I highlight it, choose charts, and I decide how I want to display it. In this case, a basic line chart is what I want. Maybe a line chart with marked lines. Ah, there we go. Looking very nice. Now, I can expand it or not. That's really my choice. But I will have the opportunity to do some editing on this in just a bit. I also have the opportunity to change some colors, but I'll also have the ability to change this in just a second. Now, once I've got this chart made, most of my job is actually done. The next step is incorporating the second part of this, which will be, let's bring in PowerPoint. I'm going to go File, New from Template, and most of the time, whether you're using a Mac or a PC, you'll get something that looks very similar to this. Now, if yours is like mine, you'll notice that there's lots and lots of different templates you can work from. Most people will recognize these as PowerPoint templates. If this bothers you, then what I would suggest is you use your basic white, basic black, and then maybe find a background online. Use that in the background, build something unique, something that works for your package. Doesn't bother me for this project, so I'm just going to choose something like Revolution here. Simple, direct, don't really have a problem with this. The big thing that I need to look at though is to make sure that my slide size is correct. Instead of standard for 3 screen ratio, I want to make sure that I'm using 16 by 9. I don't want to have to stretch anything once I bring it into my video. So 16 by 9 widescreen is what I need to make sure that I've got this set on. Once that's done, I hit choose, and then I may want to find a layout that gives me basically a blank document. Once I have my blank document, then I want to go back into Excel. I'll grab my chart, I'll bring it over. Let me see if I can copy and paste it. There we go. And maybe do some fun stuff like let us fill the background area. Format chart area with white. There we go. So I've got a nice white background here. I can expand it out, make it fill my screen. Again, remember we have to think about our title safe and our action safe here, so it's got to be inside that chart. This color scheme is made to work inside of this, but if we want to change it, we certainly can by simply selecting something like, say, Command Z to undo. Selecting one of these lines, changing the line or the fill. Let's go in, change the line to dark green. Format, fill, dark green. Format line, dark green. There we go. Took me a second, but I got it. We can go back in, we can add effects. So if we want to look like beveled dots, maybe a shadow on our line to cause some separation. I don't know why I keep just grabbing part of the line, but let's try that again. Shadow on the whole line, there we go. So I can do a variety of fun things to this. I'm not going to spend more time on this than I have to right now. Once I've done this, then it comes down to animating. Now, we don't want to bring all of this in at the same time. So if I actually had this chart, everything looks good, and hit animations on the chart, what I would want to do is actually sweep across. This is called a wipe. I want to enter this. I'm going to look for wipe, in animation. Your PC users are going to be a little bit different. You'll notice this is not what I'm looking for. This is wiping everything at the same time. I don't want that. What I want is to just come up with my graph, and then I want to wipe the actual lines. So I can go under Effect Options, and then I can choose either as an object, as a series, or by category. Object does everything on the screen at once. Category would do every tiny little dot by one at a time. Series does line by line. So we'll do series now. That's what we're looking for right there. But even with this, we don't necessarily want everything to come in. We want our chart to be on the screen. We just want our lines to come in. So what we might do is say the first thing that came in, number 1, we'll select it and hit delete on that animation. Now what we'll get, if we actually previewed the animation, looks like this. There we go. So the chart stays on screen, then we see our lines come on with the animation. We're still not quite done yet because actually our lines are not coming in the way we want them to. We're talking about over time financial aid and tuition doing something. So we want to actually change the effect options from left to right. We'll select both 1 and 2 by holding Shift and selecting them both, and do it from the left. And there we go. Perfect. Now, once we've got all this squared away, what we can then do is do this. Start our QuickTime recording. Give ourselves a few seconds. And then perhaps read the part of our script that needs the graph. Blah, 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 financial aid, and blah, 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 tuition. Leave it up for a few seconds, and there's your presentation. Then what you would do is go up, stop your QuickTime recording, and you've got yourself a nice video that you can bring into Final Cut, import just like you would any other video, cut it up, and incorporate it in. You would just want to then do another voiceover over the top. Very quickly, I want to go over the bar chart. It's done exactly the same way. You'll notice I've got the grades right here. Going to delete the chart, highlight the grades, choose the graph that I want. In this case, 3D stacked is what I'm going to work with. I like to get rid of the series in this case because the grades speak for themselves here. Copy that. It's easy enough. Break it out. I'm going to find PowerPoint again. I'm just going to create a new slide, bring that in, format the area to give myself that nice white background again. Expand it out. And then I can even go in and change the color of the boxes. So let's say make grade 1 format. Let's make it red. Grade 2 fill with, let's go green. Grade 3 fill with orange. Grade 4 fill with purple. And we'll leave blue for grade 5. Then I would do the same thing. Highlight the grades, animation, wipe. I would want to wipe from the bottom. In this case, series doesn't do what we're wanting to do because the series does the chart and then all of the bars by themselves. Here, what we want to do is elements in the series. This will do bar by bar. So you can play around with it and actually see what happens here. And we'll take out the ones we don't want, in this case the animation of the chart, and see how it looks. There's what we want. Perfect. Once we get it done, again, start our QuickTime recording. Sit for just a second. Start recording, or start your script. Hit the space bar for the first grade. Talk, talk, talk. Deliver your lines. Test it out. Once it's all up, wait for a couple more seconds. Once it's all recorded, then again you can bring it into Final Cut. If it's too fast or too slow, you can always go into Modify and Retime, Custom Speed, and then slow it down or speed it up slightly depending on what you need. So this would speed it up. Let's lose that audio. Or slow it down depending on what I need. But really, that's all there is to it. This works with pie graphs. This works with bar graphs, vertical and horizontal, line graphs, 3D, 2D. It doesn't really make any difference. And it's a great way of students who are just starting out to be able to use something that looks pretty sharp and professional. I hope this helps you, and good luck.